My Lords, I rise to join this debate, which has been unanimous, in both backing the Noble Lady Baroness Hayman's bill and thanking her both for her work on it and her very clear and I would say unarguable argument presented for it. Like others, I declare my involvement in Peers for the Planet, and I'm pleased to follow all of the speakers in this debate who have already made, I think, the very clear environmental and economic arguments for this bill. I'm not going to repeat that, so I'm going to take a look at why we're actually here today and why we need this bill at all. What this bill does is gets the government out of a political tangle of its own making. It also ensures that it delivers what it's promised to do. Because if we think about why we're here now today, we go back to the time when David Cameron shifted from hugger husky to talking about he didn't like this, quote, green crap. This was at a time when the government of the time was wooing UKIP-leaning voters before the Brexit referendum, at a time when a UKIP candidate was on the record of complaining that but what will happen when the renewables run out? Now, we know what happens when the far right gets a hold on politics. Many nasty, disastrous things happened, and this is one more disastrous effect of the politics of this time, our current policy on onshore wind. And indeed, we're seeing some reversal of this. Boris Johnson has disavowed his former claim that wind power couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding. We know that onshore wind enjoys, as other peers have said, broad support from the public, 70% in one recent survey, and of course it has support from conservation charities such as the RSPB, which points out that, of course, the greatest threat to birds and other wildlife is climate change. And indeed, to quote as one survey, a UK-wide polling carried out in July 2021 by Survation on behalf of Renewable UK found that if there are public concerns, they're about efficiency and harmony with nature. Now, the efficiency concerns can be addressed by technical arguments, but it's also known about that concern about the impact for nature can be addressed by careful, appropriate siting and design of wind farms. Indeed, a US Department of Energy 2015 Wind Vision report found that the rate of avian collisions with wind turbines was 1,500 to 5,000 times lower than buildings in general. I've never heard anyone using bird strike as an argument to stop any other sort of building, and yet we know that that's often waived as an unjustified argument against wind farms. Now, I really want to make the point, as I do whenever we talk about energy, that the cleanest, greenest energy you can possibly have is the energy you don't need to use. And energy conservation remains the awfully poor Cinderella of government energy policy. And we've seen very little government money go into that over the past decade. But we do need energy, and onshore wind and solar are now the cheapest options, as well as offering their big environmental benefits. Now, we have a lot of hot air in Westminster. Who can avoid that one? But we cannot fuel Britain's energy transition by talking. We can only do it by practical action. And I would ask the Noble Lord the Minister very specifically, even if the government won't take action on this bill immediately now, Clause 1.2c, as the Noble Lady Baroness Hayman outlined, the one allowing existing wind farms to repurpose, surely will the government not look towards that? Now, I started off by saying that we're here because of politics, not because of engineers, not because of environment, not because of economy. We're here because of politics. But it is, of course, a non-party political crossbencher who's put forward this bill, offering a common-sense solution to the problem that the government now finds itself in. And I have to conclude by reminding everyone that we are now speaking from a chamber of the government of the nation that remains the chair of the COP climate process. We remain the chair until Egypt takes over in a year's time. And the world is watching what's happening here. Being myself at COP26, people talk about why are the UK's policies so much failing to deliver on their promises and their targets. And it's things like this that people talk about. So the world is watching the Noble Lord the Minister as he answers today. And I hope that he'll be thinking about that when he gives us his answer.
My Lords, I join everybody else in congratulating Baroness Amer.